Hello everyone, Ryan Devin with the Devin team at Keller Williams. Hope you are having a great day and staying healthy, having just good at home time with your family, and most of all, just staying home at the same time. Wanted to come to you with a quick market update with regards to what we are seeing as far as real estate here due to the impacts of the coronavirus. So I'm going to go through some different numbers and statistics that we have seen. Just now that we have a couple weeks of evidence, we actually have a little bit of a track record that we can start to look at and really assess what's going on in the market and how this will impact our real estate market here moving forward. Again, we went into this in an extreme seller's market, which is where we've been for about the past 10 years. That is, still maintaining right now, but there are some numbers that I think would be beneficial as a homeowner or somebody who might be looking to become a homeowner, as you might want to be looking at those things as we're kind of moving through. So I'm going to share a couple of figures and charts here with you, and then we'll go through it from there. So let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into some of the information. So what we have been in right now has been what's considered an unbalanced market, meaning we've definitely had more demand than we've had supply, basically months of inventory of homes on the market. So what this chart is showing here is the number of months of available inventory, meaning houses on the market to take care of the demand for things that are out there in terms of people wanting to buy more homes. So what we have identified kind of before all of the coronavirus impacts really started coming down for everyone is right now it appears that this right here, this week, 3.4 to 3.10, this was somewhat what we're calling now the peak. This was when the demand was at the highest point. Our market was just starting to ramp up into spring as it normally does, and then everything hit after this point with regards to the stay-at-home orders and those types of things. So at that point, we had 0.7 months of inventory available to buyers out there. Basically, that means, for every buyer who's out in the market looking for a home to purchase, they don't even have one in order to select. So what we've seen now post the coronavirus impact here is we've now seen an uptick with regards to months of inventory. So now, as you can see, this data here from a little bit ago showing we were at about 1.2 months worth of inventory. So our inventory has increased. The biggest thing to note on that is this guy right here. The reason that we had such an increase in inventory is not because a lot of people decided all of a sudden to start listing their homes for sale. It was because you had a huge backlog of homes come back on the market, meaning, once this hit and people became unemployed or, could no longer work anymore, had to stay at home, they were not in a position where they could continue to buy a home anymore. And that's why you see this big back on market statistic here of basically from the peak to where we are was an 88% increase with regards to that. Again, we will now expect those numbers probably to be declining now that things have settled and now we're in somewhat of the new norm, people being able to work however they are planning on working right. So moving on from there, the question is, well, our active market, where do we hit that balance? And again, a balanced market means that there is 6 months worth of inventory available for a buyer to select from. That is what a balanced market is going to be defined as. And so in this particular case, and again, this is based on all prices, what you can see here is that right here, for a balanced market to take place, we would need to have about 27,000 homes on the market at any given time for it to be a balanced market where things are relatively flat. It's where you might start transitioning into a buyer's market from a seller's market. As of this point right here, we had about 5,400 homes on the market. So obviously a huge discrepancy that's there between the things. So the question would be is, well, if I'm going to put my house on the market, are people going to want to take a look at it? So this data that I'm showing you here is showing data. This is meaning homes that have been set up for showing. So when a broker goes to tour a home, they're going to set a showing. So we have seen a decline down in showing. So at the peak again, which was roughly this right here, we were seeing about 28,000 showings happening during that week. Whereas as everything started impacting, we've seen a big drop here down to 13,000 showings. So again, there is a there is a drop with regards to what you're seeing on showing activity. That being said, there is a caveat to this, and some silver lining. So while the showing dropped, the number of showings that it's taking right now in order to get a contract on a home, meaning someone writes an offer on the home, has declined as well. So again, here's that peak that we're referring to right here. At this point, you were seeing that it was taking about 19 showings, so basically 19 groups coming through to tour your home before you would receive a contract or someone wanting to purchase the home with an offer. That number has now dropped, and we're now down to about 13 showings per home in order to get a contract. What does this mean? This means that people who are actually out in the market right now, whether they're buyers, whether they're sellers, are more serious about moving forward with something. There's less of the what we call the looky-loo factor, people just walking around wanting to see homes just to see them. Oh, if I see something I like, maybe I'll move. No, these are more people who have a desire and a need to move. So we are seeing less showings in order to get a contract. Last thing that I want to point to you is people are saying, well, when do we hit that balanced market? When do we hit that 6 months worth of inventory on the market in order to create a balanced market? And again, what that balanced market would mean, once you hit that point, you're now teetering between a seller's market and a buyer's market once you hit that balance. And so in order to hit that, based on the current standing of what we're seeing, basically what it looks like is we have about 78 days. So, roughly 2.5, pushing towards the 3-month mark, a little obviously under that. If things were to remain unchanged, meaning people were backing out of contracts just as much as they were when we saw it on this slide here, which I can't quite go back to, unfortunately, but basically what you're seeing is that if people were backing out of contracts to the degree that they were, and transactions were not happening, and the market was continuing to somewhat do a downward slide, we're going to have about 78 days that we could support before you hit that balanced market of 6 months of inventory. That being said, the trajectory that we're seeing is very different than that. The contracts that are people who are going under contract are more serious buyers, as we just spoke about, and that in turn will show that more of those transactions will actually get completed. So this number, this 78, while it doesn't seem like a lot of time here, we should be able to sustain this given the current conditions here. Again, here was that peak before everything kind of went south on us here. We had 132 days before we would transition potentially from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And again, if we did transition at some point as well, once you hit that inventory, it doesn't mean all of a sudden that your equity starts declining. That is not what that means. Once this 78 days is hit, it doesn't mean your equity is starting to go down. That is not at all what that means. It just means we're in that transition period. If things were to continue to go in a negative direction, then yes, we might start seeing equity changes after that point, but we've got a bit of a runway here. So I hope that this was helpful to actually see some numbers behind what's going on and see that it is actually not all bad. Very challenging, but not all bad. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to tune in here today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this information was helpful and at least gave you a snapshot to understand where we sit today due to this unprecedented time. If it's something that you want to have some more in-depth discussions about, maybe for your particular situation, I'd love to have a conversation with you and just talk that through and see what I can do to assist in any way, whether it's peace of mind or with an actual potential move that might be coming up. But I'm here for you. Again, thank you very much. This is Ryan Devin with the Devin team at Keller Williams. My phone number is 303-579-9428. Again, 303-579-9428. Have a blessed day. See ya.